Before we go in the program, which is, I think, a short program, we are going to be efficient with time because it's a busy time of the year. So I just would like to quickly establish the protocol so that many of us, when we come and give the speeches, only one who is exempted from repeating the protocol that I'm going to establish. So first, I would like to recognize the presence of Honorable Prof. Dr. David Richard Namwandi, the founder of David Namwandi Trust and the IUM founder and the council chair. Dr. Shihareni Jamba is the research team leader. Then we have His Majesty Onkwanirwa Filemoni Shumbwa Nangoro of Odonga Traditional Authority, represented by Mr. Albert Bama. I would believe there is somebody representing Lieutenant General Shikongo, the Inspector General of Namibian Police. And I would like to recognize Dr. Hireni Jamba, the Senior Specialist and Head of Psychiatric Department, Venduk Central Hospital, on the unit of mental health, and Commissioner Situnde, together with Deputy Commissioner Walaura. They are from the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication, and Social Welfare. Then Deputy Commissioner Ati Mwafyufya, pardon my Oshikwanyama. Then Stefan Telon, they are from Namibia Collectional Services. Then we recognize Reverend Dr. Emma Nangoro, Dean of Students, IUM. Then the leadership of IUM in terms of deans, HODs, and all the directors present. The research fellows, those form part of the research team that is lodging the report today. Distinguished invited guest, member of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I know we thank God for the good morning, where we are going to celebrate the work that is done by the Namibian in terms of conducting research, the writing reports that are very important and inputs into the policies of our country. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Reverend Dr. Emma Nangoro, IUM Dean of Students, to come and open our gathering with a prayer.
Hello, sisters and brothers in the Lord. Good morning. Yes, in the New Testament, in the Gospel according to Matthew, Jesus taught, saying, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you." This verse is widely known as an encouragement to prayer. So most of the time when we preach about it, the message is always, go and pray. Go on your knees, talk to God. Ask for whatever you want. Seek. He always is ready to provide. Knock at any time of the day. He is ready to grant us the desires of our hearts. It's reminding the people of God, especially those people of faith in Jesus Christ, that asking, seeking, knocking, it's not a wrong thing to do, especially in pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and divine guidance and providence. Now, in the original text, that is the original language in which the New Testament was written, the Greek, all these three verbs, ask, seek, and knock, are written in forms that emphasizes ongoing action. So if we would reread this text, we will say, keep asking, keep seeking, and keep knocking. It's therefore a call to active engagement, an invitation to keep exploring, questioning, and learning, rather than to passively expect things to happen. So to ask in the Greek language, aiteite, implies that questions must always be formulated. To seek, zeteite, mirrors the diligent search of knowledge and understanding. It means that we must collect data, we must analyze information, and we must explore solutions. To knock, kroute, speaks of persistence and patience, testing ideas, challenging assumptions, and pursuing truth until clarity is reached. This is what scholars do. This is what the research team has been doing. They have been doing what God expects us to do. To continue God's creation, we need to ask. Not just to go on our knees and pray, we must ask questions, formulate questions, speaking to the objectives of the studies. We must seek. There are many, many methodologies to guide us in seeking. And yes, we must be patient because sometimes, unfortunately, research has to take so long before we get the answers. Today, as we gather here to listen to the findings of a research conducted on a topic that deeply touches the hearts and lives of many Namibians, that is mental health and suicide ideation, let us embrace the spirit of asking, seeking, and knocking. Let us do so in pursuit of deeper understanding so that these outcomes, these results can speak to us. Personally, I know that many of us in Namibia have encountered times when we feel mentally disturbed, when we feel pushed to the corners. If I would ask all of us to be honest, how many of us have run in thoughts of suicide? I may get hands up. Maybe even I myself, I may put mine up. It is a huge challenge in Namibia at the moment. And therefore, sisters and brothers, may this gathering not only contribute to academic knowledge, but also inspire action among us. May it strengthen our resolve to build communities of support, understanding, and love. And above all, may it honor God, who is the ultimate source of wisdom, healing, and wholeness for all his people. Amen. And thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think I would like us to agree that when somebody is coming up or going down the stairs, the podium, let's clap hands until they reach where they have to sit. That would be great. Okay. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Stephen Mukwena from the Office of the Prime Minister. And thank you very much, Dr. Nangoro, for that scripture reading. You actually zoom into and link the current research into the biblical versions. How already the Bible actually established that we must do research for us to find solution. I would be efficient with time, and I can see we are before time, and I want us to keep it that way. Therefore, I would like to actually call on podium Dr. Shihareni Jamba, the research team leader.
Okay, thank you very much, Master of Ceremony, for giving me the floor. Honorable Dr. David Namwandi, the founder of the David Namwandi Trust, and also the founder and chair of the IOM Council, and the sponsor of the event, the reason for which we are gathered here. May I at this stage bank on the protocol that was rolled out so that we remain efficient, in the words of the director of ceremony, with our time. I would like to warmly welcome all of you to this event, and my task here is to welcome you as the team leader for the research team, and also to give you a little bit of background of the journey that was undertaken, that culminated us gathering here and giving us the opportunity to release the outcome of our research. By way of introduction of the event, there was a study that was commissioned and funded fully by the David Namwandi Trust to inquire on the issue of mental health and suicide ideation. The research started last year. It actually took slightly over a year. It started last year in August, or slightly before August. Yes. Can I at this stage ask the members of the research team to stand up so that we can see them before I go further? Yes. Yeah. There are not so many. I can draw them by the names. At the other side, we have Dr. April. We have Dr. Anton. We have Dr. Blessing Tafrenyika. We have Miss Rosalia Malondilange. We have Dr. Sione Ikela. We have Prof. Van der Walt. We have Dr. Frida Nanyeni Kanyemba. We have Miss Mari, who has played a very big role in managing the office, and then myself, Dr. Shihareni Jamba. Thank you very much. Sit down. This whole initiative was, my favorite member of the team. Yes, Dr. Ruth. Yeah, I think I have covered 100% of the team. Sorry for that. Yeah, as I said, this whole research project was initiated by the founder of the David Namwandi Trust, Professor Namwandi, and it's in recognition of the tough situation of mental health and suicide in our country. Dr. Emanangolo, who gave us the prayer here, said quite powerful used quite powerful words to express the magnitude of the problem of mental health and suicide. And Dr. Namwandi found it fit to make his contribution towards this very important subject area, which is causing havoc in our country. As we went through our research journey, we realized that there was so much we took for granted and so much we didn't know. And we just thought for somebody to commit suicide, for somebody to be in a state of mental illness, maybe we understood it in a different way. But it could be small things that we see that can constitute that. But we may not think in that way so that we can start taking action on that. So we thank Namwandi for this brave and national move he has done to finance this research. I'm sure the findings will contribute to the many, many efforts being carried out in our country. Nowadays, we hear a lot now about mental health issues. I think the awareness is widening up in our society, and that's very important. Like I said, there could be some small things that we may not realize they constitute that mental health difficulty, which eventually could lead to fatalities like suicide. So the effort that was taken by Prof. Namwandi is commendable, and we know he's a man who has the Namibian nation at heart. We have seen so many initiatives that he has done. I'm sure it's still fresh in our mind recently when there was a donation that was made by IUM to the Minister of Health in terms of equipment that we are sure is going to make a big impact at the Rondo State Hospital. And that's just one of the many, many initiatives he has taken for the benefit of the Namibian nation. The research could, of course, not cover the whole country, but we believe what came out, as you will see from the presenters, I'm sure it represents a bigger picture of what's obtaining in Namibia. The team traveled to several regions, like to Oshana, Komas, Omaheke, and it visits several institutions just to hear their opinions and thoughts, which helped the team to put up, to make a picture and put up a report that we hope will go a long way in addressing the issue of mental health and suicide. Most of the institutions that the team visited are represented here. We invited them, and we forever remain indebted to them for giving us generous of their time and for giving us generous of their input into the research area that we were conducting. I think I have given a snatch picture as we go on with the rest of the interventions that will come. I'm sure the picture will come even more clearer. So, Master of Ceremonies, let me thank you for the opportunity, and let me thank once again everybody for honoring us with your wonderful presence here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are such a wonderful audience that is very much obedient. Thank you very much, Dr. Jamba. You are such a wonderful leader. But I'm not surprised because we are under a wonderful leadership of Prof. Namwandi. You see, Prof. Namwandi, most of the time, he doesn't read when he gives speeches. And when you inspire, when you are a good leader, you inspire the people that is under your leadership. That's why, you see, you have realized that Dr. Jamba did not even have any note. He was just speaking, and everything is consistent and persistent in order. That is another round of applause. Indeed, just briefly, our country is going through some sort of dangerous things. That's why this study is very, very important. Just few weeks ago, I think in one day, 5 people committed suicide. It was painful. It shows that there is something wrong in our society. Just to also highlight at a global level, and I think the study will go deeper into it. So at a global scale, over 700,000 people commit suicide. And there are also some countless suicidal thoughts. Then approximately 1 death happened every 45 seconds. Okay? When it comes to Namibia, so the suicide rate in Namibia stayed at 9.7% in 100,000 people. And for a population that is just 3 million, even less, because I understand when these things are done, there might be some foreigners and they might be counted. So we are just 3 million, and we experienced 291 deaths per year. Then 1 death every 1.2 days on average. So this is really scary. Therefore, this study could not come at the right time. Without further ado, I would like to call for a performance by Dr. Kropas and health and wellness students.
Music. Music, please. Excuse me, before we start, can the podium go backwards, please, a little bit? Thank you. The podium just back. Thank you, sir. Music. I stole a chocolate bar because of hunger and being homeless. Someone saw me and called out loud, "There's a thief in the shop!" I'm chained, humiliated, degraded to a criminal. Sorrow entered my whole being. My tears cannot flow. Words are stuck in my throat. I cannot breathe. Sorrow for my parents, family, people in the community overwhelmed me. Oh, I shamed my cultural upbringing. Since I can remember, my mother said to people in my presence that I am no good, a failure, lazy and ugly. So I was looking for acceptance somewhere else so that I can feel better about myself. My mother found out and chased me out of the house. Alone, lonely, nowhere to go, rejected, worthless to the one person that was supposed to love me unconditionally. I walked away without seeing anything around me. I thought myself worthy of a woman, a wife, a mother. All these different kinds of feelings of love filled my being. I was happy to live a beautiful life and claim the respect of being a human being. The man I loved with the deepest feelings of giving, all I am and all I have, beat me and say words that shut my inner core. The feelings of love, of hope for a happy future, because he found someone with maybe a higher qualification, a sexy body, more money, and or something he thinks he cannot find with me. The emptiness in my heart, feelings of lovelessness, the heartfelt rejection, humiliation, being degraded, and the feeling of worthlessness cannot be explained. What makes life worth living? These are the students, the first year's health and wellness students, Faculty of Health Sciences, International University of Namibia.
That was touching. Okay, I am from a different world. I don't easily get emotional. But I think you have, for the first time, succeeded to make me feel. Because some people thought apparently I've dead. What is this? I'm dead inside my heart. Because you come to me crying, I will say, stop crying before you talk to me. Yeah. Thank you very much, students and Dr. Krupas, for that wonderful performance. It carried a good message. I think it has really demonstrated what is happening in our society. The society that is not taking care of its people anymore. Some of us were raised together by our society, by our village, but that thing is not happening anymore. Because when you are beaten by your neighbor, your parents will say the person wants to witch you, which is very wrong. Okay, so next is a personal story that is going to be delivered by Miss Namibia 2022. That is Cassie Shapley, who is the World Health Organization Namibia 7th Anniversary Champion, and also Miss Cosmos Namibia 2025. So please, may we welcome her on stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to stand here today, also knowing that we are standing in solidarity as Namibians for a powerful cause when it comes to the human mind. I'm going to share my personal story. I'm not going to go into detail about my battles, as it is a very morbid story to tell. But what I can say is that I stand here as a queen, but also as a living testimony. I've survived suicide 3 times, and God has chosen me worthy to have another day, another chance to be the best version of myself. When it comes to dealing with mental health issues, it goes way beyond the physical emotions that you experience as a human being. It is a spiritual battle. It is a warfare. It's a warfare between your mind, your spirit, and your body. When one of these things are not in equilibrium with each other, there is an unequal distribution of emotion and the way that we navigate through life, through relating to another human being, and most importantly, there is a great disturbance in finding your identity as an individual. How I overcame my mental health issues was not through a human being. It was through discovering myself and finding my identity through the cracks. I saw myself as broken, but I still saw her as worthy. Worthy of success, worthy of making a difference, and worthy of being a global ambassador. Even though I contemplated taking my life at the tender age of 16, I failed 3 times. I failed 3 times because there was a mission for my life. The greatest battle was not saying no to suicide. The greatest battle was continuing in spite of saying no. As a human being, I have emotions, which means there was guilt, there was worry, and there was this feeling of, what if I don't get back up again? But that never stopped me as an individual. I continued on. My story never ended because I believed in myself first, and I believed in the purpose that I carry as a Namibian. And I had to date way back to my childhood. I'm a child of the Namibian soil. What does that mean? That means that I am a human being with bravery, a human being with ancestors that fought for the freedom of this country. I'm a human being that is a leader, and I'm a human being that has the right to take up space within my country, proudly Namibian, on global platforms as well. So when it comes to mental health issues, I pray that we do not ridicule individuals that deal with it. Instead, we empower them. You might be the answered prayer that someone needed on a random Monday morning. Maybe all they needed was a smile. Maybe all they needed was to hear that they are beautiful. Let us not shy away from being kind, because the world has come to a point where we are all in survival mode. Our walls are up. We see each other as competition. We make each other uncomfortable. When what we need right now in the world is to be reminded that we fought through, first of all, a pandemic. We fought through historical events that were supposed to be our downfall. And as Namibians, I'll say it again, we fought for our freedom. Not freedom to survive, but freedom to live and freedom to thrive. I pray that our leaders will take up not just positions where you can influence us socioeconomically, but emotionally, on a humanitarian level, because we are human beings with souls. We need nurturing, not just from the point of birth, but throughout our life. We need mentorship from our elders. We need our elders to hear us when we speak with open hearts and open minds. So my personal experience is not something that I walk around with in shame. I take great pride in knowing that I fought a battle that had my death written all over it. And I took it and I brought it back to life. And I can honestly say that dating back into my childhood and remembering that my root is being a Namibian, that is what truly established me as an individual that is worthy of life, worthy of making an impact, and most importantly, worthy of being a servant and being of service. I work actively in the community, in marginalized communities. I'm a registered emergency care technician and a paramedic student. I've seen poverty escalate to extreme scales. I've seen a 5-year-old girl carrying around a 25-liter can, step by step, to her home that is 3 kilometers away. And you tell me that that is not supposed to tarnish her mental health from the tender age of 5? The smallest changes make the greatest impact in any life. And if you can empower one individual, marginalized communities, you empower a nation. When you can empower one person, one child, male or female, you empower a nation. You never know the stories of the next person. You never know what they had to endure. They could be a walking miracle themselves. And that alone is what should encourage us to be better human beings. Ultimately, our lives are not our own. We are simply a living sacrifice. So let us live not just to empower ourselves, but selflessly to empower those around us. We shouldn't just leave a blueprint in someone's life for a moment, but for a lifetime. That when they think of you, they know that you added value to their lives too. So as Miss Namibia 2022 and as Miss Cosmo Namibia 2025, Cassia Sharpley, but you can call me Cass, everyone calls me Cass. I want to encourage us not just to survive, but to live and thrive and to embrace every moment as though it was our last. Thank you.
Wow. You see, as Miss Namibia 2022 was speaking here, now I was wondering, what is that I'm going to say and how would I say it? I started now visiting my vocabularies and then I came to 3 words. I would like to say that was fabulously and splendidly dazzling. You are indeed a queen and a heroine of our motherland. Yes. No, at IUM we have vocabularies. Yes. So thank you very much for that powerful message that we should not just win, but we should thrive in our life. That is very powerful. Once again, please a round of applause to Ms. Cassie. Yes, next in the program, and I think the audience and the speakers, they are not talkers, they are speakers, because they know how to manage time. And we are really efficient with time. So I would like to call on stage, and it's my honor to ask and request Prof. David Namwandi, founder of David Namwandi Trust, to take stage and deliver his keynote address. I think we may rise to recognize the work that Prof is doing in this country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sioni, for inviting me to this beautiful podium, speaking to the beautiful and handsome men and women of this land. You have already laid a very strong protocol, and I just want to respect that. You know, one day I attended a funeral of somebody I knew, and I saw him growing under my eyes. This person committed suicide under very mysterious conditions. And there's something I said in Shombo, and it went viral. I said, omihapungade nyimbo. Kadishikuja mudada peni. Antu inafatana. I believe you are all sitting next to people who may, in one way or the other, understand the language that I've just spoken now. Please interpret or translate. I want to tell you that we are differently wired. And the devil is truly a liar. The devil is attacking the most brilliant individuals in our society. I don't know whether you have observed that. Many people who took their lives are the best in our land. And even if you hear the testimonies, you see those people who are saying, this is what happened to me, and look at them, including brilliant people. The devil is a liar. And in Jesus' name, he should not be allowed to succeed. He must never be allowed to succeed. David Namwandi trustees, and I want to thank them in their absentia, they decided to put their money where their mouth is and fund these very important research activities with one aim: to find out the root cause. It's a root cause we want to know. The root cause why Namibia have the highest number of suicide in the continent. For those who do not know, Namibia, you're leading. We want to know why. Hopefully this morning, we are going to know why. We want to know why 2023-2024 financial year, 542 lives were lost as a result of suicide. We also want to know why, according to the Namibian police statistics, 124 suicide were recorded. In a shortest period of time, between January, I think, and March. And out of that, 108 are male. We want to know why. That is what we want to know. We also want to know what is it that out of the population of the world is now 6 or 8 billion. 720 people die as a result of this cruel animal called suicide. We want to know why. And also want to know why 2/3 of those people who die of this as a result of this cruel animal called suicide are male. We want to know. Sioni, when he was standing here, he said about 9. 1,000 people die as a result of what? Suicide. We want the reversal. The trend has to be reversed. You might want to know that Barbados, Antigua, and Barbuda, the rate is very low worldwide. That is 0.3 per 1,000 people. We want to know why Namibia cannot be at that, or even less. That is the reason why we are here this morning. The last thing I want to hear is the word impossibility. It's not possible. We don't want to hear impossibility. Look, she has just said, we freed ourselves. We are a nation of heroes and heroines. The war we fought here was a serious battle, a fierce battle. If we could defeat that army which was in this country, we could as well defeat this animal called suicide. We could, provided we put our heads together, because this is a concerted effort. It's not NGO, it's not a government, it's not university, it's the work for all of us as a nation to fight. Because we have an elephant in the crop. We want to transform our society. To transform our society, let our people know we are living in this world, and the world will never be a paradise. There will always be problems, but problems are there to be resolved. We must never resort to, but we must not be the cause of people to be tempted to commit suicide. We ought to be mindful about other people's feelings, today, tomorrow, and forever. At the back of our minds, we must know mental health is real. It's real. It's a painful reality in our everyday life. In our everyday lives. Behind every voice, the number in this report that you are going to receive this morning is a name, a face, a story, a family left broken with unanswered questions, and the community left in grief. In grief. The alarming rates of suicide in our country are not just a public health crisis. It is a signal of broader struggles of our societies today. I want to thank most sincerely that you have decided to come. My brothers and sisters, this is historic. Historic because I want generation yet unborn to read the records of what has happened today in this small room. The findings. Findings must help to formulate policies by those who are entrusted to formulate those policies for a better Namibia. We must reinforce early detection and support mechanisms with particular emphasis on men and boy child. I want this research to be a guide and a wake-up call. Let it drive us to transform policies into protection, data into compassion, and awareness into action. To every researcher, stakeholder, and advocate in this very room, thank you. Thank you for giving a voice to those who can no longer speak for themselves. Thank you. May your work continue to illuminate the path towards healing and hope. Hope. I believe together we can conquer. Let us strive to build a nation where every life is valued and every person has reasons to live. David Namwandi Trust will not stop here. We will continue to assist where we can. This is a commitment, and it will come to pass. It will come to pass. Lastly, and very lastly, be rest assured, I love you. I trust you. And I want you to know that a human being is like a bag of salt. When you put a bag of salt in water, if you are back in 20 minutes, you only remove the bag, but the salt will dissolve in the water. Wherever you are, wherever you go, you must be a psychologist. You must be Dr. Njaba. She's a psychologist. You must be a police. Do you know that these brothers and sisters in uniforms are going through tough times? Many people don't know that. They are seeing so many things on a daily basis. If it's not suicide, it's housebreaking. And they are working under extremely difficult conditions. We must continue to pray for them. Encourage them, because they are human beings. They are not machines. For this, I thank you very much, brothers and sisters, for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Prof. David Namwandi, founder of David Namwandi Trust. You see, what we need is to create synergy, then we work together to fight against mental health and suicide. And I want to, not that I want to promote Liverpool, but in life, we must know that you will never walk alone. That's why you have people like Prof. Namwandi, you have people like the one next to you. They are wonderful people. If you have a problem, speak out, and things will be sorted out. But there are those who don't keep things in their heart. That's why we have a problem. They are actually, we must declare them enemy of this society. You tell them, they take their cell phone. Before you reach home, everybody in the village know that we have confided in somebody because of the problem you have. Those ones are the enemy of our nation. Okay, thank you very much once again, Prof. David Namwandi, for that wonderful message. Another round of applause. Then, Prof. Namwandi have spoken here that we are going to hear in detail what the study have found. Indeed, our Vision 2030 is speaking about a research or knowledge-based society by 2030, meaning that all the decisions and the policies that we are going to bring about will be informed by research. Our NDP 6 speak of the same thing. Therefore, this study is very important that it responds to the calls of our noble national documents that are guiding us. Therefore, I would like to call on stage Dr. Blessing Tafirenyika, together with Dr. Anthony Andeyanyu, part of the research team, to come and present the finding. May we, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. We like to stand on all the protocol that has already been established. My team and I we, as Dr. Njaba, our team leader, said, we worked for a year on this project to ensure that we find out what are the, make an inquiry into the alarming rate of suicide ideation in Namibia. That is how we framed the topic. And me and Dr. Blessing here, we are going to present our results and our findings so that from here we can discuss further what we can do with these results. Okay, here are the layout of the presentation. So we will start with the background, just to give you an insight of what has happened. And the questions that guided the study, the approach we've taken, the methodological approach. We'll start with the statistical overview on suicide in Namibia, and then the results from the Ministry of Health and Social Services, the Namibian Correctional Services from the Uluno Correctional Facility, the Windhoek Correctional Facility, and Gobabis. And our result findings also from the traditional authorities and clergymen, the findings from the civil societies and NGOs, and also the university counselors and students. And then at the end, we'll provide you with recommendations that we have for this study and the acknowledgement. Okay. I want to start on a very high note here. As Prof. Namwandi just said about the 542 lives that were lost, let's just quote what the president said just a month ago. And I don't want to misquote, so I'm going to state it as it is. I stand before you today with a heavy heart to address a grave challenge that has profoundly affected our nation. The ever-rising wave of suicide, particularly among our men. In 2023-24 alone, 542 lives were lost, making Namibia the country with the highest suicide rate in Africa. This is not just a statistic, it represents precious lives lost, broken family left behind, and a nation in pain. President Netubo Daito. So we can see that there is this connection there, starting from even the president, bringing the attention that we are all facing a national crisis. So we need to understand, what is suicide actually? So it is all cases of death resulting directly or indirectly from positive or negative act of the victim itself, who knows the result they produce. Famous sociologist. And we understand that there are different types of suicide. The egoistic suicide. This is the one that is very common because people are very separated from social norms, right? Altruistic suicide. We can call it a benevolent suicide. People commit suicide for the common good. Anomic suicide. Because of social changes, because of changes in the social environment, because of unemployment situation, people commit suicide. Fatalistic suicide. This is very common in the prison because people are feeling excessively regulated. They commit suicide. So guided by all this, it enforces us to understand what are the types of suicide and why do people commit suicide. On a global scale, over 700,000 people commit suicide. And these are just the reported one, right? At least if we approximate it, that is one death every 45 seconds. I mean, you can just check your time on your wristwatch. Just look at the second. Every 45 seconds, one person is committing suicide. It is the fourth leading cause of death amongst youth. 15 to 29. That's 77% of suicide occurring, especially in low and middle income countries. That includes Namibia. Suicide rate in Namibia stands now at 9.7 per 100,000 people. And if we approximate, considering our population, that's 291 deaths per year. Again, statistics. 1 death every 30 hours. 1 to 2 deaths. That is too much to bear. And you can understand why it is we are ranked number 1 in Africa. Again, when you look at this, there is a difference between attempt and the suicide itself. So we estimate that out of 16 people that attempted suicide, 1 person would definitely succeed. And this is why the intervention should come in place before the threat and before someone commits suicide or attempts it. Intervention needs to come in as quick as possible. And because of this reason, the David Namwandi Trust has tasked us, group of researchers, to look into how we can find out what are the contributing factors to suicide ideation. First and foremost, we had a consultative meeting with the psychiatric ward at the Ministry of Health, and we identified mental health as a major factor that contributes to suicide. Substance abuse, the religion, alcohol, loneliness, absence of practical and social support. And again, preventive measures is the key here. We need to stop it before you attempt, before people attempt. Intervention is key. So we have a study question. What are the factors contributing to suicide and suicide ideation in Namibia? And 2, what strategies are in place for dealing with this suicide ideation? So let me just quickly take you through the methodological approach. So we applied a mixed method approach. That is, we need to gather evidence from people qualitatively and use statistics to inform our decision. And we started with the consultative engagement, as I alluded previously. And then we're also gathered by secondary data that we sourced from the National Suicide Statistics Report. We appreciate the Namibian Police Force for providing us with such reports. And then we followed up with a focus group discussion with the psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers at the Ministry of Health and Social Services. In-depth interviews and focus group discussion with the Namibian Correctional Services. We ensured that we visited the Oluno Correctional Facility, the Windhoek Correctional Facility for the female section, and also the Gobabas. And then we also have key informant interview with the Namibian police officer handling suicidal cases here in Windhoek. And we had stakeholder consultation with clergymen, civil society, traditional leaders, and university counselors. This is just to get a full idea of what are the real factors that contribute to suicide. And also, we had a survey question. We sent out survey questionnaires to university students to get their own perspective on why students commit suicide or attempt suicide. And all these secondary data, like I said, they were all sourced from the statistics report. Definitely also ethical consideration was gathered from all the ministries involved and the correctional services. Let's move on to the overview of the statistical overview of the suicide in Namibia. This is just a snapshot of the reported suicide cases from 2020 to 2024. if you look closely, you might be able to spot that the region, Omusati, is ranked number 1, Commerce number 2, Wangwena number 3, Oshana number 4, Oshikoto. And then we begin to wonder why those regions, Commerce if it's in the central region. And we understand that the socioeconomic stresses, unemployment, limited access to psychosocial support system probably is the reason why we have high rates of suicide happening over in the northern region there. And again, these are numbers. These are not just numbers. These are lives of people. So we went further to see with the report. What did the report say? Total number of suicide reported, 5,626. I said reported. So there are some that were not reported. The total types recorded, 2,813. These are reports on the Namibian police and from 2020 to 2024. And you can see there that hanging, 86% of this reported suicide, people committed it by hanging themselves because probably they have easy access to rope, so it increases the risk. Gunshot, 7.5%. Some people limited access to firearms, possibly the effect of that. Battery water ingestion. So there are different mechanisms people use to commit suicide. But most importantly, hanging is key there. Prof. Namwandi already alluded to this earlier. We need to really find out why. You can see the gap. Adult male, 4,630. Adult female, 760. Juvenile male, 164. Juvenile female, 72. It is very glaring that whatever we do, we need to really focus on the boy child and the men. I spoke about intervention. If the intervention is focused on the male child, on the boy child, on men, we will bring down the suicidal rates in Namibia. There are 2 sessions to this presentation. The other session is to find out from the stakeholders' engagement. So I will allow my colleague here, Dr. Blessing, to give you an insight on the findings from the stakeholders that we engage with. And what is it that they identify as the contributing factors to suicide ideation? Dr. Blessing?
Thank you, colleague. Good morning. I'll stand on the protocol established and move on to give you further findings. So based on the secondary data that we analyzed and our initial engagement with the Ministry of Health, the team was really motivated to go deep to find out what is the voice of the Namibians. So we focused on 3 regions, Oshana, Commerce, and Omusati. Later we were referred also to Omaheke because of the other settings, especially with the correctional services. So those are the 4 regions that we went to and engaged different stakeholders. And amongst our stakeholders, we had to consult with the religious leaders to hear the voice of the churches and what they are, how they view this and what are the measures in place. We also engaged traditional authorities, the community leaders, the Ministry of Health, especially the Mental Health Center, correctional services, institutions of higher education, as well as the civil society. So in doing all this, our idea was to engage the nation at large in different settings so that we get a comprehensive understanding of the roots of this suicide. From the Ministry of Health and Social Services, our consultation brought a lot of factors that they find or they come across on their day-to-day engagement with their patients and receiving people that are coming there for different services. And some of them included the mental illness of the patients that they are having in the mental health center. The reports showed that some individuals with psychotic disorders actually experience the auditory hallucinations, where they experience voices telling them to end their lives. Apart from the mental illness that the patients are suffering, they also discovered that through their interactions with them, there is some drive that is coming from the economic hardships. Our nation is suffering, especially financial hardships emanating from losing jobs, troubled relationships that are also creating such tensions, and at the end, be it children, be it women who were also depending on men, or be it the men themselves who are pressured to sponsor, to support the families. They end up sometimes having emotional or mental health issues arising from that. Then there are also factors that are coming from the gender norms that we associate with. These are coming from our culture, where usually men, they are brought up being taught to suppress themselves. They are not as open as women, such that most of the times they go through a lot without outpouring. Also, they've came across cases of substance abuse, especially alcohol and the drugs becoming a national crisis. So such substance abuse eventually, if no intervention takes place, they drive people to mental health issues. Then the youth were also cited as being more vulnerable. Why? Because children experience depression and suicidal thoughts even when they are, especially when their material needs are not covered. So from the mental health center in the Ministry of Health, these are some of the causes that they informed us from their interaction with their patients. In terms of strategies, what they have in place, they highlighted the biopsychosocial treatments approach that they implement in dealing with the patients. So this approach is rooted in a model that seeks to address the biological, the psychological, as well as the social dimensions. So they have a variety of specialists ranging from counselors, the psychiatrists, as well as even the general wardens, try and provide that supportive environment towards addressing their challenges. Then there is also social work and community support, where the social work team connects patients with community resources and support networks so that in their therapy, they get different exposures. Then they also give gender-sensitive counseling, especially to men who lack dedicated support groups. This allows them to discuss, to open up, to share their emotions, as well as relational issues safely through those support systems. With regards to substance abuse, they recognize that they must also address substance abuse and its prevention, especially amongst the youths. So this came as a recommendation to say more is needed on how we can actually address the substance abuse. Then also school-based coping mechanisms, where schools should establish systems where students can be sensitized on the dangers, especially of engaging with substance abuse, as well as being able to understand emotional literacy and how they can cope depending with the experiences that they encounter. So this is what we gathered from the Ministry of Health. We moved on to look at stakeholders under institutional care, and we focused more on the prisons, the correctional services. And in correctional services, we got quite a lot of input, which included some mental illness and psychotic disorders. We had an opportunity to engage the correctional services staff. We also engaged the general offenders as well as the SPDs. The SPDs are the special state presidents' decisions. Okay, these are detainees that are detained because of some activities that resulted from some disorders that they have mentally. So we had a variety of inputs there. So we have some interesting quotes there that came out where the staff indicated that individuals with psychotic disorders, sometimes they also experience those auditory hallucinations that command them to go on and take their own lives, even in the absence of depression. Just being in an institutional care where you have lost your freedom and your daily lifestyle, also find them hallucinating and hearing those voices. Apart from that, the acceptance of their condition, especially when they go under observations, you know, when they commit a crime, they are put through observations where they may be declared they have any issues. So upon hearing the condition and being declared that you have such a condition, some they don't take it easily. There is one of the inmates who actually came out saying, they informed me that I have schizophrenia, a mental sickness caused by substance abuse. So when he expressed that, even himself accepting that condition wasn't easy for him. So most of them, they go through the same. When they are informed of their conditions, it is not easy to take in. And some, they think this is the end of life and they don't see the reason to go on. Another theme that stood out regarded socioeconomic and relationship stressors, citing financial hardships like losing their jobs and also being in troubled relationships as causing such triggers. Some out there, before they entered into the facility, they commit crimes because of the economic hardships. That stood out very well, where they were saying they found themselves in those situations, not because they intended to, but the economic hardships that they found themselves, they could not bear. Then some of the inmates that we talked to, they cited relationship issues. They ended up engaging in activities such as abusing their partners, some even passion killing because of relationships. So those are some of the encounters that with their emotional state, they failed to control themselves and ended up in those situations. Then while they are in prison, they are experiencing challenges, especially with regards to support from families. Most families, when we have such a situation in the family, we tend to neglect or we feel we are punishing them. But our attitude, the support that we give them and that neglection also drives them to see this is the end of life, and they find themselves with suicide ideation. Again, in correctional facilities, we found influence from norms and gendered emotional suppression. This also agrees to the findings from the Ministry of Health, especially the men. They say they go through a lot, they do not share or express themselves, and at the end, it drives their emotions, and they find themselves committing crimes. One cited that we were taught that showing feelings is weakness. And so most men here, they bottle up until they explode. So the explosion part of it, they may find themselves in trouble and they end up in prisons. They also expressed prolonged detention and lack of discharge clarity. Unlike the general offenders who may know the term of their sentences, the SPD inmates, they are kept under institutional care until all the expertise certify that they are now able to reconcile with the community. So that state of staying there without knowing up to when, they are not sitting very well with it. And most of them, they find themselves wanting to commit suicide. So upon engaging also with the staff, I'm glad that when Prof was giving his speech, he cited that you see them in uniforms, but these people, they go through a lot. We engaged the staff from the correctional facilities. They also indicated that they need that support themselves. They also need counseling as much as the prisoners do because of what they go through. They expressed the conditions, some of the cases that they attend to, they also traumatize them and they need support. Another highlight that came from the staff members is that there is lack of expertise, especially within the prison facilities. They expect the government to give them support, even the civil organizations, the churches, give them support, especially to educate them on how to do counseling. Some expressed that it should be mandatory that when you are working with prisoners, you also undergo those trainings, because sometimes counselors are very far, psychiatrists are very far, the chaplains are also not available, but they have to engage with those cases on a daily basis. So they asked for such support. Next, we have the traditional authorities and community leaders, as well as the churches, were the next category. And quite a number of issues emerged there, including economic hardships, especially unemployment that we are facing in our nation. Many young people, they graduate with the expectations of securing employment, but they are left without any prospects. So this leads to a sense of hopelessness, frustration, and ultimately the thinking of taking away their lives. There is someone who mentioned that when you do not have such an opportunity, you feel that God has forsaken you, and then the person will make a decision to end their lives. This was coming from the clergy, where they have seen many people who come having lost hope even in believing because of what they are going through. The traditional authorities also expressed concern, especially with the disconnection that is there with between culture and identity. They say there is cultural erosion and a loss of identity, especially amongst the youths, where there are many contrasting views that are coming up because of the exposure that they get as they grow up. So some of those views, they now contradict with what they are raised, being taught back home. And that conflict, most of them, they fail to have identity. As Cassie was just highlighting, that I had to come back and identify who I am and accepted my identity. But the majority of the youths, they find themselves in confusion, and that confusion also makes them not to be able to see the light. And also the elders, they also have their own expectations, especially backed by the cultural experiences. So as we look at our children, as we look at our the children that we are taking care of, going off the ways we taught them, it is not easy. Some parents, they end up being depressed and they also commit suicide. We engaged the civil societies as well, so highlighted issues of stigma and misconception. This was highlighted as one of the crucial issues that us generally as population we have. We have a misconception that when somebody commits suicide, it's a weakness or they are being selfish. Or when people are going through mental issues, we usually associate that with witchcraft or why can't you control yourself? We pass such comments, but not really understanding that this is a reality that anyone can face. So with that now, we tend to stigmatize, and people, they no longer feel comfortable when they feel depressed, when they feel anxious, when they feel something is wrong, they are no longer themselves. It is very difficult to come out clean and say, I don't feel well. So people, they hide a prolonged time of suffering before they can engage help. And that results in suicide ideation. Then also poor mental health awareness. Yes, this was recognized as most critical issue because all of us, even those that have experienced the ideas and those that have not, we have often even stigmatized our family members the moment we realize they are in that. So that is because we do not have information, we are not well informed, and we are not yet accepting that mental health issues are a reality. The civil organizations also highlighted generational trauma, where they say our background still affects us even today. What we went through, there was a very interesting case of the trauma that was caused during the time of apartheid. Those are some of the historical things that are impacting on people today. And because we did not get a chance to go through reconciliation, to go through healing from those traumas, it still carries on with us. And some of the attitudes, some of the behaviors that we do are coming from there. And despite having experienced what we grew up also with culturally, as we try to impose that on the younger generation, sometimes they do not understand that. So now that gap between what we want to see in them and how they think they should be is also resulting in trauma. And this is passed from generation to generation. So when we engaged regarding on how best can we address this, there were many ideas of safe space platforms where people may be given safe housing or get an environment that is supportive for them, where they may be encouraged and empowered to be free and to know what they are seeing. Then also training family members, quite key, so that if that happens to be in your family, you'll be able to understand how you can navigate. I was impressed by an individual who can stand up and say, I've been a victim. I I attempted 3 times. I'm sure it will be interesting to hear also the family members during such a period. How were you handling? Because most of us in our families, we don't know how to receive such news and how to cope with that. Then we need also philosophical therapy. Our bodies, our minds, our souls, they need to be taken good care of. And in most cases, if the mind, the physical body, and the soul are not in agreement, that's where the devil takes advantage and the ideation grows. The university councillors were also engaged, and they brought quite a number of issues, especially financial difficulties that the students are going through. Some, they come from home looking forward to get sponsorship, even through NASFAF, but maybe it is delayed, or some, they don't even get it. And the moment they experience that, they are also stressed, they enter into depression, some even end up pulling out of school, and all that is contributing. Then mental health challenges, some untreated depression, the PTSDs, and also stigma from the colleagues around. So when they experience untreated mental health issues, they tend to prolong without seeking help because they are afraid, how will my class take it? Other students, being young, they will not receive that easily, and that brings the ideation of suicide. Then also, students really don't open up about their mental health struggles. They often hide them until they escalate, especially the boy child. Most of the counselors were confirming that, yes, we have them coming into our offices, but it's more the females. The boy child do not show up, but they are equally going through the challenges students face. So they have peer counselor programs that they have in place, and they feel probably if that can be made aware to most of the students. Then also technology and awareness tools were recommended, such as the Bazaar app being introduced to students amongst the main 3 universities that we have and other tertiary education institutions. And we further went on to investigate the students themselves through a survey, and they agreed that they also experience some suicidal ideation as they experience academic pressure. Sometimes it's too much for them, and some they are failing to cope, and that gives them the strength. Then financial difficulties stood up as strongly agreed that that is the main challenge the students are facing. Thank you. With that, I'll give my colleagues to look into the recommendations.
Okay, the recommendations. Before I start the recommendations, I just want to make some few comments. Earlier, Dr. Ikela said he doesn't have a heart. Your emotions are, but you felt emotion when the students were performing. And I really recall when we were doing this, when we were at the field gathering the data, and after our visit to NCRST, Prof. Vandervaart and Dr. Frida will recall, we were advised to go to Barbados, the correctional facility. And when they told us to go there, they were like, but we are exhausted. We've been to Windhoek, and we feel like we've gotten data saturation, right? And the reason behind that, actually, it was the emotions amongst my team members. We felt overwhelmed. Yes, that's the word. We felt overwhelmed because speaking to the inmates, especially, and getting their views and their opinions on why they attempted suicide, it gave that kind of emotion, and like, we can go on, but we just have to persevere for the sake of the study. So here are some of the recommendations that were drawn out from the from the study. First and foremost, promotion of mental health awareness. Awareness needs to, it's happening, but we feel it's not enough. We do have months dedicated for mental health awareness. We do have days dedicated for mental health awareness, but we need to create more awareness, more intervention, more community programs so that more people are aware about their mental health. Remember I said about intervention. Intervention is the key here. The more you are aware about your mental health, the more you are likely to prevent this suicidal ideation. Improvement in the correctional facility conditions. I'm glad that we have colleagues from the Namibia Correctional Facility. And my colleague here talked about the review of lengthy procedures for special patient decisions. And they don't have a specific date when they're going to be discharged. One of the recommendations we suggested is that if these SPDs can be separated from the normal inmates, just to give them a different space so that they can have their own mental, taken care of properly in a good condition, and they don't have to develop the suicidal thought. We need to reconnect with our culture and values. These cultural values has our roles embedded in our churches. Our values, we go back to our traditions, how we used to live. Understand that communal way we used to grow up. We joke about it, even in the corridors. We talk about it amongst ourselves. We remember times when it's Christmas and every family members will give each other food. They send you to another house, you drop food in another person's house. You know your neighbors. It doesn't happen anymore. And this is why there is a lot of isolation. And when there is isolation, people don't talk, it can lead to suicidal thoughts. We need to address economic hardship. This is on the macro level. We need to encourage national action to address unemployment, to address the high cost of living that we are facing. I'm glad that this project was sponsored by the David Namwandi Trust. And we are really in debt activities you've done and to ensure that you tackle unemployment in Namibia, the entrepreneurial programs that you sponsored. These are collective actions that we need to do. But that is one. We need more people to come on board to address this economic hardship. We need to strengthen legal and policy framework on suicide and mental health. A couple of days ago, I'm sure most of us lived in the news where the Minister of Health was talking about the implementation of the new 2025 mental health bill to replace the outdated 1973 Act. And this is another measure that we recommend it. It's a very good initiative to address more frameworks such as this to address mental health situation in Namibia. We need to encourage self-help and resilience practices. This is very peculiar to me as well, resilience practices. The mind, body, and soul. There are lots of philosophical therapy approaches one can take, but this is your own personal philosophical approach that you can take. I try to embed the Stoic philosophy because I feel it aligns with me. That is how I try to understand my own personal self. But every other person, if it's the Bible as a Christian, if you're a Muslim, it is the Quran that you can fall into. There are lots of ways that you can find yourself. Mental health education, this is very key. We need to integrate mental health education into our national school and university curriculum. It's very important. I would love to be invited, or when we are developing any curriculum, that mental health, especially the Faculty of Wellness, to include such kind of programs or make sure that mental health stands out as one of the core courses in their programs. Not just in the universities, but also in the secondary schools as well. And last but not the least, creation of a well-being hub. A well-being hub, a place where we can all come in to share our views, our opinions. It could be virtual, it could be physical, but we need a space that will bring everybody together. And we are glad that we have a connection with the participants for the study, so we can always go back and make sure that we continue the work. It doesn't stop here after the result is presented. It doesn't mean that suicide is going to drop. Tomorrow, we start again. We move on, we continue. We must build this hub to ensure that we address suicidal ideation in Namibia. You want to take the acknowledgement?
Thank you. I stand here representing the whole research team. Would like to extend our gratitude to the David Namwandi Trust for its generous funding, addressing the national crisis of mental health and suicidal ideation. The journey that we walked when we were compiling, looking back from where we started, we realized it has been a full year. This project started last year at the very same time. And a lot of traveling, a lot of movements were happening until today we are here. So we would like to really appreciate, we feel very much indebted to our funders, and especially because it wasn't just a research that we were doing, it has also impacted our own lives individually, because we are also working in an environment where we have colleagues, and we got the exposure that mental health is not only about people in prisons, neither is it about people in homes. Even in our working spaces, we need to take care of each other and be mindful. So to the DNT founder, Professor David Richard Namwandi, and his team, thank you very much. Secondly, I would like to express our gratitude, especially to our stakeholders. I see people are represented here. We have the police, we have the correctional services, the civil societies, the higher institutions of education, the students are also here. We want to express our gratitude to you. The DNT had an idea. They commissioned us as researchers, but if you were not there, or if you had closed your doors, we wouldn't be here today. So we really value you as stakeholders, and thank you for opening your doors, and we thank you that we are going to move in this journey together. Thank you. To the nation at large, those who are hearing us, who are here present physically, and those that are online, I would like to thank the Namibians. Those who have walked the darkest paths. We have had Acacia testifying, but she's one of the many. Many homes are left with a lot of unanswered questions. Many communities are suffering in silence. And I would like to say to those who have felt the heavy weight of the life's journey, and those who continue to search for hope amid despair, we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you. This research is just a step towards the community-based approach that we now have to go into our societies and start implementing. So the Namibian nation, let's be strong and defend our legacy. We are the land of the brave. So this situation should not pull us down. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge also our research team, the academics. We have a long way to go. When the nation is confronted with such issues, it is our duty as academics to go deeper. We have to bring the information. We have to stand in to bring the voice of the voiceless out to the nation. So academics, those that were part of the research and those that are out there, let's play our part to the best of our abilities as researchers. Thank you.
I think we need lights, otherwise you will only see my teeth. We are past 21 in the night. Thank you very much. I think now I'm back to civilization. Everyone can see me. Yeah, I'm proud of my color. That's why I always make identity is very important. I have seen people getting angry because they are either tall, short, or dark. It's not right. We have to be proud of who we are. Dr. Jamba, thank you very much. I think you have chosen the right presenters. Their voice, their composure. You see, it relates to the message that was actually coming out. If it was the Zionists, some of us are, the way we speak is too rough. It will not commensurate with the message that was coming out. But thank you very much. It is really a good study, good findings came out, good recommendation came out. I hope both public and private are going to create synergy in addressing this issue of suicide and mental health. Another round of applause for the presenters and the research team. So now I would like to, before I invite the next person on the stage, you see, I saw the Act of 1973. Oh, that is a long time ago. Some of us, there was not even a small thinking of us. But that act is still being considered as operational. That time there was no mental, this thing of suicide. If you ask your grandmothers, your mothers, they will tell you it was regarded as ochipwe. What is that? A taboo those years for a person to commit suicide. So, but now it's something that we live with. Therefore, new bills, new laws are needed so that we are sure that they are on time. Okay, can I now invite Dr. Wilfred April to come to lead the open discussion? And I think the rest of us, the questions that are going to come through are not only for the presenters, but for all of us except the team leader, the MC. So all of us, please, let's be ready to jump in with providing clarification and some in-depth discussion. So this will last for 15 minutes. And I can see we are still on time. I mean, before time, not on time. We are still before time. And I want us to be on that, what is the English word? It's Friday today. Why is my English failing me? Yeah, we must continue on that base. So, Dr. April, please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I think we need a little bit of, I know you a little bit, is it afternoon? It's still morning. It's still morning. Okay, so we will need a little bit of There was an insert here, but I don't think the insert will play. But I would really just like us to, we have absorbed so much information, but I would like us to, as we reflect, I would also like us to exhale a little bit, because we have consumed too much information now. So I would once again like to take this moment to acknowledge the importance of this topic that we have discussed. It really takes courage to discuss a topic of this nature. And I would also like to acknowledge the pain and the struggle that many of us face in silence. This topic is not just an ordinary topic, but it is indeed a reality that affects all of us. It can be directly and it can be indirectly. So I would like to us to take note of that. And as we are doing that, it is important, as we leave this auditorium today, that we create spaces where we can openly talk about our struggle. We have to create spaces. And I think a lot of the conversations that we had here actually touch on that. And we should really, as an academic community, as a community, as brothers and sisters of the country, we should really support one another. And one important thing that I am telling you is you should be compassionate. And it's compassion sounds like a very tough word. It's also a tough thing to do, because a lot of people ask, what is compassion? When Cass tells me about her story, what is compassion? What do I have to do? You told me your story, so what? But it takes a lot to be compassionate. And we should also understand our communities. And through our adventure and through our travels and learning more about the European communities, we really have to understand people to deal with this mental health issue. And we have also heard that we are not alone. And you, all of us, we are not alone. And your feelings are valid. Your struggles are real. Henceforth, may we all find comfort in knowing that you are all deserving of love, care, and support. Exactly the way you are. Don't try to be anybody else. And that's where the problem sometimes comes in. Be you. We are bound as an individual of personality, also of intellect. Been molded within a household. We all come from somewhere. We all come from a family. That was also said. We all come from a community. And of course, the most important one, cultural and traditional prescriptions. Very important. And Cassia went a step further, spiritual. And most of us do not understand what spiritual is, but it's almost like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. It's probably, some of us will never reach it. Self-transcendence and all these things. And there are a lot of demands on us as a society. Even here in this auditorium, if we leave now, after all this nice thing, we are going to go back into society. Sometimes the pressure becomes so hard and it's so heavy for us as individuals to handle. That's why we need appropriate, correct, and positive support. We still have questions. I know as we are leaving today, we have a lot of questions. What is that question that all of you are asking yourself now? Are we having questions? Not only questions about the presentation, but what are you asking yourself? Yes. Is it worth living? Of course, yes. Worth resilience. So now I'm going to open the floor. Any questions? Yeah. Please. Oh, this mic.
Thank you very much, Doctor. This is indeed a very, very emotional and touching subject that we are dealing with today. Maybe before I ask my question, which is on two things, mental health and mental block, I'll come to it later. I also want to acknowledge my founder, not for necessarily sponsoring this research. When I came in here, I passed by there and I went to salute the men and women in uniform. Why? Because they took care of me. Cassie here asked a question and said that who among us did not entertain the idea of suicide? Openly. And I want to confess one thing. There was a time when I went to Prof. Namwandi, he's my neighbor for many years. And luckily I found him in a short. I said, no, I'm just greeting. Prof, I just want to confess this. I went, he said, oh, Iro, you know, he called me Iro. Whatever. We sat. He said, you want a wine? I said, I know it's okay. I know it's okay. Oh, what's your problem? I said, I know it's okay. I'm just greeting. So we sat, we spoke about many things. That time he was the Minister of Education. But my purpose was to go and bid farewell to him. I went to bid farewell. It's my neighbor. The story is, Frida is there. Dr. Frida is there. She was a member of the board of IUM that time. You know, I was recalled from UK, transferred to Washington, called back to take over NBC. I think it was the wrong time when I came, because that was the time when you had 3 candidates, Nahas, Itibo, may his soul rest in peace, and Pohamba. So there was now an interview organized. Things started going wrong, and I was called to why you working for, and all these type of things. It was tough times, my brother. I'm coming to the question of why. Why? I'm coming to that question. So there was no way out. I said, what they say, but what is going on? I say, I know. And friends ran away. Colleagues, you come to the colleagues, when you come in a group, they will start talking about it's going to rain, even if there were no clouds. You know, I think it's going to rain, you know, because they don't know what to talk. Because you are there, you are rejected. And then there is silence. There is silence. People keep quiet. They say, until you read the atmosphere and say, I know, whatever. People ran away from you. Then I decided, okay, fine. Let me go to my lawyers. Let me go and finalize my will. No, I did. Thought, this, where to go, this, you think of cattle, you think of whatever, you think of whatever. Sign and whatever. It's okay, it's fine. And I signed it. Then, one day I went home, you know, I'm in Eros. I have a Makarov, it's a Russian gun. I haven't used it for many, many years. I took it out of the safe. Actually, before that, I went to buy that spray. And then, you know, I'm a soldier. I come from the struggle. Dismantled it, polished it nicely. Now, I had a girl, my daughter, Ndafika. You know, she was playing games. The power went off. So she ran out. because I was sitting under a tree outside there. And then she came. Daddy, the power is off. Daddy, the power is off and whatever. Then she saw the gun and said, Daddy, are you going for hunting? Serious? Are you going for hunting? What is it? No, the power is off and whatever. So I went. It was just a trip. Put it off. Daddy, are you going for hunting? Because we used to go for hunting sometimes during holidays. That is the answer to why. Why? You must have a purpose of living. That's the answer. I look at her, finalize everything, wills and whatever is, I'm going, I'm departing. Even at a decision that I say, how am I going? I say, I'm not going to use a rope. I'm not going to shoot myself because there is body viewing. I'll shoot myself in the heart. That's true. And when I look at that girl, my heart moved. That moved. And what, it was before my court. Things happened. They know what happened. Everybody knows what happened. And I went in there and I looked at my girl, my children. And then I went into, and that's why I want to thank these men in uniform, men and women in uniform. They took care of me. And then when I went there, because when you are in prison, you have only two things. You have your mind and you have your time. It's up to you to wake up, to go and work. It's up to you to sleep. But what kept me going, I say, okay, fine, how am I going to use my mind? I say, no, I'm going to study, man. It was a good timing, actually, September. So I applied UNAM. They accepted me to go and study law. And these people, these people, in as much as we insult them, these men and women in uniform, will take me every morning to UNAM to sit in class. Every morning, they will take me, I will be given a lady or a man, we will sit in class. Afternoon, we come back, they will pick me up, we go back, until I graduated. And until the case was proven otherwise. So, the message, Kasi, you are not alone. That mind, that thinking goes through many. And as a director of marketing and communication, there are those who trust me. And I will close students, even staff. They will come and say, Mr. Manyama, for one or the other reason, maybe they trust me. Some of them don't know my story. And I will talk to them. We have a counselor. They will not go to the counselor for one or the other reason. They will come and I talk to them. I say, look, get that out. Think and think deeply of the reason. Think about your mom. Think about your granny. Think about your sister. Think of somebody, something will push you to a reason of not wanting to do something. I'm answering your question of why. Why is the reason of living? Now, when we look at the study here, you have mental health. Maybe we should research on it. Mental health and mental block. I don't know the thin line between mental health and mental block. Look, I'm from Chicago. Sorry, I'll just take 2 minutes. I'm from Chicago. My neighbor, a businessman, Joseph. A businessman. When I had these troubles of mine going up and down, the court cases going up and down, because I retreated to the village and then I had to come to the court. So I went to him. He has to say, I know I'm going. And this man, telling me that I'm Munyama. Don't worry, we are here. If don't think, man, these cowards who, because they are faced in problems, they shoot themselves. Don't do it. If there is a bail to be given or to be paid or whatever, please, man, you have my number, just call me. That was a Sunday. I was going to court on Tuesday. I know, he encouraged me nicely. You know what happened? His wife is a nurse, Mengera. That guy, as I was just entering court, I received a message. He committed suicide. He had a 5-year girl. He has a wife, Ingela, on Pangi. Dropped her at the hospital. Came back, took a blanket, took his gun, went under a tree in the house, and shot himself. And the wife is a nurse in the casualty. Not knowing that it is the husband. These things are real. Are real. And when Prof. Namwandi is talking of what these men and women in uniform go through, what they see in prisons, what they see and hear, and then go back home to sleep. Even appetite sometimes will go. That's the truth. So, colleagues, strength, man. Strength. Thank you.
Okay, Doctor, we will take 1 or 2 more questions, but we will have a good networking session afterwards once we are done. So, Doctor, please.
Okay. Good. Is it still morning or afternoon? Good morning. Good morning. My name is Dr. Njaba Mrs. I'm a psychiatrist. And I was listening, and the master of ceremony who say he has no heart, it's not that you don't have a heart. You tend to make your heart stronger. I'm very glad that this research went on, and I'm very glad from the founder that the giant is not to be dealt with Minister of Health and Social Services alone. I'm not representing the Ministry of Health, but I happen to be interviewed during the research because I'm heading the Department of Psychiatry at Mental Health Unit. And apart from that, when we talk about men and women, because they only go to the one who is lifeless, the one who committed suicide, we are dealing with the survivors. They are coming to us, and then now you want to convince them not to do it again. Because when somebody have suicidal ideation or attempt, it's not that they have learned a lesson, it's not that they are going to stop. They will continue and they continue. And when they come to you again for the second time after you have spoken to them and you think you have done your best, your heart aches. You feel you are failing this person. But the question is why? I think the research have presented the contributing factors to suicide. On your recommendation, I saw you saying that we should go back to reconnect with the church. It is good to mention, but you also remember when one of my niece committed suicide, who was a specialist doctor for that matter. You don't have to ask. When it comes, does not matter. And here Mr. Munyama say a wife was a nurse. It doesn't matter. The person who was advising that person, you thought he will not commit suicide. But when the emotions, when the feeling, when the numbness come, the person will definitely commit suicide. But now we want to do this. We want to change the narrative. into action. We need to do something about it. We need to go back to our culture, and we must also understand what is happening in our, our emotions, our mental health illnesses. When now other people who are not health professionals talking about mental health, I sometimes want to collect to say, no, when you say mental health, you are not meaning the same thing as mental illness. Mental health is different from mental illness. We all need to be mentally healthy to be able to function. But then when we become mentally ill, and it's when now we start having all these things that are happening. On your findings, you find out that there are state president patients who are at the correctional facility, that they need their own space. I agree 200% with you. And this is one of my fight because I'm the one responsible for SPDs in this country. So what happened is that with the small population, of course, we have got people who are now, because of their mental well-being, that they become mentally sick. They tend to commit crime and they are detained. So in the year 1986, we opened up a forensic psychiatry unit, the only one in the country, but because before that, our patient used to go to Bloemfontein for admission. It is only 8-bed capacity, but it has surpassed that. We have got over 300 SPDs. So therefore, what we are trying to do is that because of the stigma and the misconception, people do not understand mental health. We need to understand that this giant is among us and we must do something. So we have been, for me particular, as a head of the department and a mental health activist, I have been pushing that we need more this facility to make sure we have a proper facility for them. The problem we have is they are saying in your finding that what bring about their mental unwell is because they do not know when they are going home. Unlike the other offenders, they are given specific time. The problem we have is that with the state president patient, they really need to be make sure that they undergo treatment and rehabilitation. But then treatment and rehabilitation sometimes is not really happening because in those facilities, the correctional facility, you may also not have the proper cadres, the psychologists, the social worker, the psychiatrists. So as a result, it also takes time. And even when they are discharged and integrated back into the society, they tend to do the same thing because of the neglect and the rejection that they are getting from the society. I'm really glad that this research will be shared, and I would really want you, when you finalize, I am sure that it's finalized, to put more emphasis for us to build institutions that take care of people with mental health issues. Currently, we only have got Ward 16 at Oshakati and the Windhoek Central Mental Health Care Center. So therefore, let us be a community activist and let us speak, and those who have yes, they will hear, and of course we will have facility to admit our patient. I thank you for listening to me.
The master of ceremonies indicating to me time is running. I will just give 1 to 2 because at least one at the back. Yeah, yeah, ma'am, yeah, ma'am, yeah, ma'am, you can, yeah. And then maybe one there, at least, please, just a few, at least till midday. Yeah, it's not 12 yet, so, yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I greet us all in the name of Yeshua. What encourages me today to stand up and speak, it's what Professor Namwandi has said. He bases his trust on very strong spiritual value. And when I have listened to everyone who has spoken, there are some deep matters that came to the fore. I'm coming from the perspective of a mother, happened to be Cassia's mother. And one of the questions was, where does it place the parent or the family member who has got to deal with issues such as that at home? It leaves a parent very hopeless, because one would like to get into the heart of your child and live life on behalf of them, because you have seen a lot already. My testimony today is that as mothers, as fathers, there is no better antidote to these challenges, such as suicide and mental health, than to love our children, our families through the process. Because they are bombarded with faceless people through social media who gives them ideas that are not real. And they escape into a place of isolation in their bedrooms, away from the family, and all they have is a screen that's busy advising them with no empathy, with no sympathy, with no compassion that is real. I salute you, Professor Namwandi, for this incentive, and most of all to make Christ the foundation of what we're dealing with. Suicide is a devil that ministers to you, that convinces you that this is the solution and it is the end of what you're dealing with. Suicide is not the end. There is a life after this life. And the life after this life is forever. There's no turning back. And if we are today buying into the Christ, the one who offers everlasting life, he in the first place has given us that life. So it belongs to him. We cannot take our own lives. It doesn't belong to us. So why don't we just give it back to the one who has given it to us through the process of salvation and say, Jesus, I need you. Holy Spirit, you are my helper and my advocate. The force alongside me who comes to fight for me when I don't have strength left in me anymore. What am I saying today? Suicide is self-murder. And murder takes us to a very uncomfortable place after this life. The reality is, where do I end up after I end my life? Where do I end up even if I don't take my own life? What have I got in store for the life after this life that is so final? It is so eternal. I can't come back and correct it. Removing God from the equation doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. Not believing in Christ does not make him redundant. It's like an ostrich that's burying its head in the sand and it believes that nobody sees it. I'm saying this. When we deal with family members, such as our children, such as our society, let us have this in mind. Check with them. How do you see life after this life, since there's no chance to come back and start over? Invest in that which is eternal rather than that which is temporary. As we take care of life insurance policies to leave for our loved ones when, as our right honorable gentleman has said, he went to sort out his will. But little at that moment did you know that there is a life that continues after sorting out your will. My encouragement here today is, let us be very sure where we're off to when we are no more. Suicide is not the end. It is not the answer. Jesus Christ and life after death is more of a reality than just ending it by murdering ourselves. Amen. One last point. I'm coming from a potter. I'm a ceramic potter. In order to make a vessel of honor or a vessel that is useful, you have to center the clay completely in the center of the wheel. If it is not centered, nothing good will come out of it. Can we come into the culture of centering ourselves in Christ so that He has the opportunity to shape out of us a vessel of honor, useful for everyone that we come in contact with? And that is prayer and acknowledging the higher power, creator of everything that exists, that which we can see and don't see. I thank you for your attention.
Three more. Yeah, we can have 3 more. 3 more. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
This 3,
One.
let's be abstract. Yes.
Good morning to everybody. I have a question to the team. I'm speaking from an experience of a child who has lived with an uncle who has been mentally disturbed. They would say many names, Malcolm, whatever, but also who has been suicidal in one. So I'm speaking from that perspective. I was a very young girl at that time. So living in a house with somebody who sometimes breaks other children's legs and so on. So I'm speaking from that perspective. I just wanted to ask the team, when they spoke to the traditional leaders, have they also contacted the traditional healers and the methods that was used? Because I stand on that ground of a healing that came from within the traditional perspective. And I have never seen, even if I was myself a health worker, our uncle being treated at the mental hospital. He was treated more at the police station. But later on, he became very healthy and normal. So I just wanted to know, how have you experienced the discussions, if ever, with the traditional healing methods?
Next question. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Bernard. Mine will be short and brief. First, just to acknowledge that this was a good presentation. My question is, when you engaged, especially our traditional leaders, I saw in one of the recommendations you said, maybe we must connect back to culture. Did you perhaps find out from them if culturally, do we know how to deal with mental health issues? The reason I'm saying so, speaking out of experience, I was very young when my father passed away, but when you look at culturally, they don't give counseling to the kids. They focus on the elders. Secondly, you also said we must go back to the churches. I think the presentation is fantastic. Maybe we must continue by saying we must give awareness as which type of churches, and we must also find out, do our churches, are they ready to deal with mental health issues? Before we make people to go to those churches that are giving acid to our children and add another problem. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to make a comment and ask a question. Among the recommendations from the study, it was mentioned that as a suggestion that mental health mental health or harmful ideations like suicide perhaps can be incorporated in schools and school programs, tertiary institution programs. That is quite commendable. So my question to the David Namwandi Trust research team is how do they plan through the studies that have been presented to give recommendations regarding implementing mental health or harmful ideations, suicidal ideations, either as a subject or perhaps regular discussions in workplaces, in schools, in institutions for students and teachers and employees. How do you plan to take this information and try and implement it? And yes, so how do you plan on doing that? Is there a plan to do it, and where would you start? Is it something that maybe can start with one institution, like for example IUM, or is this going to be taken further now to take it back to, like for example, primary school, and then we start from there? Thank you.
Last one, last one, and then the team will answer. Yeah. Very good.
Good afternoon. I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. So I have a recommendation and a question, right? Personally, I come from a household, I'm loved, right? But one thing that I see that lack is my uncle committed suicide, we buried, story goes on. My other uncle commits suicide, we bury, and we go on, right? My cousin does the same. My own sister, I think the day that hit me is when I went to buy her anti-depression pills. And in the cart is written 7 times suicidal attempt, right? And I ask myself, and this is maybe what I wanted to see from the recommendation, because just 2 weeks back, I ran to Dr. Shimbuli, even to Dr. Blessing to say, I have an issue. My phone is blowing up with suicidal. Somebody wants to commit suicide, right? But my question is, or what I wanted to see from the researcher is, do we really invest in the post? Because most of the time, somebody commits suicide, we take the body, we bury, but that is the end, right? But the family that is left, even if you ask me today, if somebody commits suicide tomorrow, am I ready through the journey that I've gone through? No, because nobody comes and say, you know, I'm sorry. Or even somebody to say, how do you move on? What is the next step? I'm left behind. But after we bury, we are done. And then tomorrow we say mental health. But then the question will then remain to say, my mental wellness, is it healed? Do we have those mechanisms to say that, are we preparing to move on the healing journey? So maybe from the researcher side is that I want us to also focus on the ones that have been left behind. Do we talk to them? How do we prepare them that they don't follow in the same footstep? So there is one of the recommendations that I would want to see from the research, more of to say, yes, we have now left behind, but how do we move on, right? And how do we deal so that I'm prepared for the next time something that happened? And how do I advise somebody else who's going to go through the same thing because I was advised and I was prepared, right? And then the other statement that, yes, the last one, I think that has been, we saw on the statistic, one of the contributing factor is unemployment in men, right? But still today, our policy, one of the highlight, if you look at every job description, is what we encourage women and again women and again women, right? But the question is, when we speak about the boy child, how are we addressing it if we constantly keep saying the same thing and the same thing? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. The last, very last.
Good morning. My name is Mekere Haukambe, a proud student from IUM. I'm studying Bachelor in Health and Wellness. I have 2 questions. I'm a person that likes or love helping others, But most of the time, my experience is that others feel like they are becoming a burden, or they are becoming too much when they are trying to talk their emotions out. So as a student and as a young girl also trying to grow, what do I do to help others so that they do not feel they are becoming too much, or they are becoming a burden when they are expressing themselves? Another question I have, me as a young person that is also trying to grow, what can I do, or what are the coping mechanisms I can use so that I do not fall in the same mental crisis as them? Thank you.
Okay, I will ask Dr. Japa to answer the first question about the chiefs, the traditional healers. That was asked. Yeah, the question that was asked by Ms. Nemesis. Can you repeat the question about the traditional? Okay.
I think I need the refresh on that again. Just a quick.
Ms. Nemesis? Yeah, the role of. Did we?
Maybe not directly on that, but what we meant when they were emphasizing that we go back to the basics of culture, it was in reference to the anti-cultural activities and deviations from culture, some of which are also at the center of the causes of those mental health issues. They were simply advising, go back to the basics, and basics are simple things. It's like sit with your kids. We used to sit at the parlor in the evenings, the wife, the father, the whole family, and your parents would advise you what life is all about and how to do the right things. Yeah, I think it was just to say, if you it's just like somebody advising that go the route of God, then God has also his principles, which are meant to help you do the right things. Cultures are also there to advise you to do the right things. We didn't go to technicalities of healing per se. I remember when I grew up, the first psychiatrist I saw in my life, but it's in inverted commas, not like my wife, was a man in a village, maybe 5 kilometers away from ours. And every time somebody was found talking to himself or was bitten by a dog, what's this dog when they go crazy? Yes. They go to that man, he gives them some herbs, they vomit out, and they claim they are healed. Maybe they are healed. Well, that was the remedy of the time. Maybe it was helpful in the absence of any other better scientific thing. But just to come back, I think the advice on culture is just to help people to do the right things and to walk the right steps. Thank you.
Okay. The next question, Dr. Anthony, can you please answer the question that was asked by? Okay, you will answer. Okay, Dr. Blessing.
Thank you very much. I just want to also add to what our team leader has explained. When we engaged with the civil organizations, there were quite a number of non-governmental organizations represented, and the issue of taking it back to traditional healing, it really came out where there were recommendations of even when people are coming from prisons, there is a tradition where they are set-ups where they will go and be able to share and get cleansing so that they can also reconcile into societies. Then another issue that came up, that one was associated with a culture where people, the mental illness would be associated with the roots where you are coming from, and there was a sharing of where and how the umbilical cord was treated after it fell out. So it's unfortunate. It's a presentation which is quite brief, but in the bigger document, all those things have been captured. There are quite a number of traditional ways which were used to address issues of mental health, including this one of you have to take the person back to where the umbilical cord was buried, and the elders, they know how to do that. When somebody is coming from prison, there are also traditional ways of cleansing them and taking them back into society. So all those things have been captured in the main report. The second question was regarding the recommendation on going back to culture and also going back to churches. My colleague was asking, we also need to recommend which type of churches also. Okay, that recommendation was basically driven on especially the confusion that is coming with the young generation as they are exposed to many conflicting views, especially the social media. Pastor Chapley just mentioned it now. So it was encouraged from the traditional authorities to say most of our children, they are inheriting the new Western culture, which is bringing a lot of pressure that they can't cope with. Now, as they come home, maybe they've been to school outside the country or even here in Windhoek, but now when they come home to now align the new values they have learned with what they are being taught at home, it now becomes something that can conflict their souls and so on, and it leads to that ideation and as a result of confusion. So the idea was, in our homes, in our communities, let's not let the Western culture override, but let's keep on emphasizing on our values. I remember one angle that came out vividly was an issue of the passion killing, the issue of students coming in. Maybe you are sponsored by your boyfriend who may be a taxi driver. All the 4 years, somebody is really committing to see you growing. But after you've graduated, now you look at that person, you say, we are no longer of the same levels. So there is no longer that value in relationship as it was before. Nowadays, it's an issue of who is of my class and all that. So the idea of let's go back to culture was emphasizing on the values that we would place on listening to our elders, on how to conduct ourselves. In the olden days, people were not easily swayed by new traditions coming in and so. Then with regards to Taleni's question of the trauma that we experience because of what we see in the families, and there isn't counseling after that. There was a recommendation on the Wellness Hub. The Wellness Hub, we discussed it as a research team, and not to depth to really put the procedures on how to do that, but it is one output that we are looking forward that if the Wellness Hub will gain support, it's something that can start in our different institutions. It could be in an institution of higher education. When we have a Wellness Hub, it shall provide even the counseling to the students regarding their different issues. If we have a system of establishing wellness hubs through our communities, then at least people will be knowing that I'm able to meet a psychologist, I'm able to meet a counselor, I'm able to meet an elder. So it is something that is yet to be developed and to be shaped. Then we can push forward the idea of a wellness hub. Thank you. I leave to my other colleagues.
There was a question from the student about how she must cope so that she don't fall into the same trap. So Anybody? Anthony? Would you like to answer the question from the student? Yeah, they were two in one question, but I understand exactly. You are giving out so much of yourself, yet you get nothing in return, and I could really relate to you. Yeah. Somebody wants to answer? Yeah, okay. Yes, Dr. Anthony, can you? Dr. Anthony?
Okay, but yeah, thank you for the question. I'm not a psychologist, but like I said, when I was giving the presentation, I also have my own personal experience. We all went through COVID, right? And we all experienced it in different ways. As a student, you go through different kind of pressure. I'm using myself as an example. When I experience different situation, I gave an example that going back to finding myself. Once you're able to find yourself, everything tends to kind of align for you. And I made mention of, if you're a Muslim, you refer to the Quran. If you're a Christian, you go to the Bible. If you're a traditional person, you go back to the root of our ancestors. Right. I'm a Christian. I go back to my Bible. But not only that, I also embed a philosophy that I love, and that's the Stoic philosophy. If you would like to read, I can share more about it with you. It kind of allows you to see yourself, and you understand what is in your control and what is not in your control. Once you understand that, your mind, your body, your soul, and everything is in place, I think everything paves the way for you, and you understand. You'll be able to cope, I think, mentally. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, doctor, and there's a very, I said, okay. Okay, camera woman then, and then the gentleman at the back. Mm.
Yeah, I want us to.
Yeah, we are
I don't know whether we have enough time to be
Yeah, we
here.
have.
So now we have Dr. Jamba, Dr. Nanyeni, and the colleague over there.
And then the camera.
Yeah.
Okay, I will be very brief. The problem is that when we deal with mental issues, this should be a biopsychosocial approach. Psychologically, this person need help. Socially, they need help. Biologically, because they are going through, mostly suicide come with depression. And when somebody is depressed, their chemical in the brain, we call them neurotransmitters, they tend to be delayed. So therefore, they need to be balanced. The only problem that we have is stigma, that people don't want to see them going out to seek help. Help is there, and in fact, we are even destigmatizing the facility that is available. I can't go to Grundakis, I can't go to Malcolm, I can't go to Ward 16. Of course, that's why now we are trying to see whether we can come up with private facility. Yesterday, I just rescued a 14-year-old girl who wanted to commit suicide in the morning. And when now somebody wants to commit suicide, the policy is that you need to admit. I thought at the end I will admit the girl, but after speaking to her, we hang ourselves, we laugh, and the parents were there, we discuss, and she promised me, and let's do this. To promise we are not going to commit suicide. So therefore, please, if you are a student, I'm sure there is a counselor at your institution. Approach them. Then when you approach them, they must refer you. They should not become Jack and Jill of all trades. They must refer you where you can get help. Help is out there. Thank you.
Can I? Good afternoon. Mine was just an addition to what has been answered already by when a student said, what can be done if there's a persistent ideation of suicide and so on. I'm just trying to approach it now from a perspective of an educator. When we sit in the class with students, we should approach, for example, a class or a lesson from, first of all, regarding the student as people. You know, a human being who needs their mental to be well before we start with academics. Many a times we are run out of time because now CAs are done. Where are you coming from this time? Without knowing that maybe that same student has issues at home. They may not be able to do things on time, and that leads to some suicide ideation to some point. And just in addition to that, I think I like to mention, when I read it somewhere, 95% of Namibians are Christians, right? We have to make it a point to advise. To advise in a sense that if you yourself have time to read your Bible, you must have some content that allows you to advise. Not only, I believe that those of us who are here either are students or, either are educators, researchers, or parents. So we have to make it a point to advise with the scriptures from the Bible. We have to have that because it's very strong. It has been mentioned, I think, Pastor Shapley has mentioned it here also, somewhere there also somebody has mentioned, the battle is not ours. The battle is for the Lord. Those are things that we need, the students need to understand. We should also allow them to understand that we have to, in your class, even if you are competing, competition is fine, but then it should be a healthy competition. Do not make your competition to lead other people into suicide. Therefore, we have to what? To fight the spirit, ne? We have to fight the spirit. What did the Apostle Paul say? Anybody who might know that? What does the Apostle say on the fight is not on flesh and blood, but against the spirit. If we know what the fight that we are fighting is against the spirit, we can successfully fight the spirit of suicide ideation. That is my humble contribution. Thank you.
The last speaker? Okay. Then we're done.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone present. Speaking from a psychological counselor perspective, not necessarily as the Namibian Correctional Service, but I also want to advise that we take note of the alternatives that are available. Dr. Jaba already highlighted the help that's available, but we also need to focus on highlighting personal strengths when dealing with mental health issues. And one of those things that I also want us to highlight is lifestyle changes when dealing with mental health issues, speaking to one of the questions from the students in the back there. So when dealing with overwhelming situations, regardless of whether it's education, lifestyle, whatever the situation may be, it's also important to know that your lifestyle plays a role in your ability to handle different mental health stresses. Speaking to what Dr. Jaba says, those chemical imbalances within you can sometimes be fixed by a simple lifestyle change. So as much as I agree with the approach of using medication, it's also very important for us to look at things as such as personal strength and lifestyle changes. Thank you very much.
And just to add on, sorry, doctor. Just to add on to her question that she asked, I'm also a psychosocial support counselor as well. I used to offer my services at Lifeline Childline Namibia, where they also offer free counseling services to any single person. And if a case is out of their capacity to handle, they can then refer you to now there is our services that side also. But when you are a counselor and you are dealing with cases of suicide, it can become a lot for yourself also. And it's very important for you to be empathetic instead of being sympathetic. Because the moment you start to feel sorry for a client, immediately your emotions are on. You will cry together there. And now, who's gonna work out help now? So it's very important to be very empathetic. That's why in counseling, you don't advise a client to say, I think you should do this. You only help a client reach to a decision they feel is best for themselves. You just guide them. So you need to be very empathetic and not be sympathetic, and also take mental breaks. If you are fully employed or whatnot, please take the leave. take the leave, put the phone on do not disturb, and also just pour into your own self-care cup. Because in order for you to help somebody else, your cup needs to be full. You can't pour from an empty cup, unfortunately. Thank you.
So we have finally come to the end of the discussion session, and I'm handing it over to the MC.
Thank you very much, Dr. April, for spearheading the open discussion. Open discussion, Yamanguruga. Yeah, no, thank you very much. It was informative. You see, today is 28th. I don't know whether it was by design or by coincidence. Today is the day that our Prime Minister was born. And we can remember that on July this year, he posted something about suicidal thought. Okay? Where he shared that when he was going through turbulences, and me being one of somebody who have been come along with him, it was a tough time, eh? And those things can really make people think otherwise. So I just thought we need to wish him a happy birthday. I don't know whether it's by singing or whatsoever, putting him in his in our thought, but I think it will be right if we sing him a happy birthday. I sing at church, but I want somebody to read in singing. Yeah, let's stand up and sing, eh? Birthday to you, may the light of clothes shine on you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. May the light of Lord shine on you. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. We wish the Right Honorable Prime Minister good health, prosperity, and success, especially in the mammoth task he has to lead the administration of government. Just quickly, there was something that was asked about the kids when their parents pass away. I know from the father side, there is a traditional thing that is done, but I don't know whether we understand it. At Omare, every child will be picked by somebody, especially in our culture. Have you noticed that? What is the function of that person? To take care of you in terms of all aspects of life, be it counseling. When you are at the low time of your life, you speak to that person. But now we take it as a decoration, eh? It's just like this, what is Athikameni in English? Godparents. We don't understand. All these things are taken care of, but we don't do them. Maybe we don't understand. In Hubi, what is this? Do we understand their function? Even the people that are given those functions, they don't know. But they have a role of counseling, making sure that which was built is not broken. Because they are the first persons to speak to those when there are danger. Okay? But we all want to be spiritual. No. System has got things that's supposed to help us, but we don't use them. Okay. Thank you very much. One thing, when you get out of here, I was reliably informed that you don't need to pay for tickets because for your cars, and I think for your own body. Yeah, they are already paid, eh? So you don't need to pay. Maybe if you don't know how to get it, you can go to Rosaria over there, and she can guide. Then in acknowledgement of our stakeholders who participated, we just felt to acknowledge Onkwanirwa Philemon Shumbwa for availing himself for this study and also availing senior counselors and traditional headmen to participate in this study in full force. And I think today he also sent a representative here. In terms of implementation of what we said in the mental education, I think it can start with some good topics in the curriculums of life skill. I think our student teachers are being taught on environment and health education. So it will be good if we involve some good topics in those courses or subject. Then the issue of indigenous knowledge, we have a lot of rich knowledge on how to deal with issue of mental and so on. I think it will help us a great deal. I don't want to give another presentation. Therefore, allow me to please request Prof. Stephanie van de Waard, who is also a researcher, to come and post a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to commend Dr. Ikela for being such a good master of ceremonies or director of ceremonies. He was excellent with his time management and making sure that we end up on time today. Also, Dr. Njaba for the welcoming remarks and the introduction provided. To Dr. Nangolo, thank you very much for the very powerful message that you started the session with. Also, Dr. Kloppers and the health and wellness team, it was great to see you performing. I think this will also have a huge impact furthermore on your journey. It is my great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks at this very, very important event today. The presentation of findings from our research regarding mental health and suicide ideation. First and foremost, I would like to thank and express our deepest gratitude to our Honorable Professor David Namwandi and the Trust and the trustees for their generous support as well as their vision. Without their commitment to advocate and advance the knowledge and improving health, mental health specifically, and the outcomes thereof in our communities, this study would not have been possible. You believe in the power of research to bring change and save lives, and it is both inspiring and commendable. To our research team, thank you for your dedication, your rigor, your compassion throughout this journey. Investigating such a sensitive and complex issue required not only scientific research, but also excellence, empathy, and resilience. Your work has given us valuable insights that will guide policy, awareness, and intervention strategies in the fight against suicide. Our heartfelt thanks must go also and is going to all the participants who courageously shared their experiences. Your voices have shed light on a subject often shrouded in silence. Through your openness, you have helped create understanding and help others, and therefore, and please bear with me if I'm omitting any name from my list. To our partners, institutions, and stakeholders, the Ministry of Health and Social Services, the Namibian Correctional Services, the Namibian Police Force, the Evangelic Lutheran Church in Namibia, Chief Philemon Nangolo, and the Traditional Authority, the Philippi Trust Namibia, International Youth Fellowship, One Economy Foundation, the Women's Solidarity Namibia, Student Union of Namibia, Norma Trust, Elson, and the Delivery Room Foundation. We truly appreciate your collaboration and your commitment. Together we are building a foundation for evidence-based solutions that can make a tangible difference in mental health care. Finally, to everyone who joined us today, whether in person or virtually. Thank you for taking the time to engage with this crucial topic. Your presence reflects a shared dedication to creating communities where every life is valued, supported, and protected. As we leave here, may we all carry forward the insights gained today, turning research into action and compassion into change. Thank you, and may we continue working together towards a future of hope and healing. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Van der Waart, for thanking us, including myself. I would also like to thank you for being such a wonderful audience. I think we have managed time nicely because this topic was interesting. But I think we have just gone beyond it with some few minutes. You see, in life, we must touch life of others. And I think that is what we have done. So let's continue to create awareness. Let's make sure that we make a difference wherever we can. Let's make sure that we save life. If you can't save life yourself, make somebody save life. Then that will be God working through you. Thank you very much. So we are going to network over lunch. That is what is written here. So it will be a working lunch where we can exchange ideas and so on. Signing off, Sioni Ikela.